What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the conversation today. And today we are back with another episode of Who You Would Pay to See 11. This time, uh, we are being joined by the esteemed, one of the greatest moderators across all of YouTube. You see him everywhere. He's always looking out, always shouts out everybody's channel, always shouts out everybody when he's there. He's always on it. Vigilante, my guy. Appreciate your time today, my guy. How you doing?
Thank you for having me on. I've been looking forward to this one. Especially after the Dross of Sunday, we can talk about some real football. Some actual players who would not have performed like that on Sunday.
Facts. Yeah, that we'll get into that. We'll get into the depressing shit after we talk about good football so that we'll at least be a little bit high and we won't be brought down so low with that nonsense. But yeah, man, basically like I was saying backstage, it's the same old thing with everybody else. Who your 11 would be to play. It's always not, it's nice to talk about and hear other people's positions on players and stuff. And who they watch because not everybody thinks the same person is the best, and it gets a little bit redundant to always talk about who the goats are because there's so many more ballers than just the 111 that everyone likes to talk about as far as that. So just real quick before we jump into it, what formation did you go with for your team?
This is actually a bit of a surprise. I don't think anyone's done this yet. I've gone with 3-4-1-2.
Oh, we went with the same formation.
Well, with that.
Oh no, you went with, okay, no. You went with the number 10. Okay. I went with 3-4-3. But this is the first team that I've done with a back line of 3. So this will be good, man. This will be good. Who'd you go with for your goalkeeper to start your team off?
This was such a hard decision because I was torn between 4 keepers, but I've had to go with Iker Casillas.
Man, I think he's been the most picked.
Was he really? I'm surprised Buffon's not.
I think Buffon, the reason why a lot of people leave Buffon alone is because he's generally always chosen as 1 or 2 for the greatest of all time. And I think everybody's trying to not pick their greatest of all time players, and they're just trying to pick, the next one, the next group around it for that. So, but Casillas is the man, dude. He
was so calm. He was like the first keeper that could properly play out from the back at Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
He's always known for the short sleeve shirt. Like I've never really seen any other goalkeeper but him always routinely stick to that. Mm-hmm. Whenever I see a short sleeve goalkeeper shirt, I always think of Casillas. Like he made that his own part of his image, and the guy could just somehow spring in like a frog from one side of the post to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like how did he do that? And he wasn't exactly the tallest. That's my brother Rasta.
Yeah,
he was quality. And then you look at what he did with Spain when they finally broke the international curse, 3 trophies in a row, and he was there for all 3. I mean, you can't ignore the quality of Iker Casillas.
No. And when you talk, and what's funny is there's been all these talks about like what happened on Sunday with Kepa not being able to distribute or pass past the press and everything else. And I've said to a lot of people, I go, what's funny is they've said that it's so important for goalkeepers to be able to play with their feet now. But it's like, bro, if you can't lob pass, what's the point of even doing this?
Exactly.
And when you talk about Casillas, that's the era that we grew up in. Goalies could throw the ball past the press. They didn't need to use their feet.
It was easy.
Yeah, so it's like you're overcomplicating a simple sport that's not needed to for that. So
no, it's not.
And leaping ability, I mean, I don't know if there's a better goalkeeper that's got leaping ability than Casillas.
I don't. He wasn't exactly the tallest either, was he?
No, not at all. Not at all.
That guy could pick any player out across the field, no matter where he wanted to distribute the ball. It would land right up where it meant to go.
Yep.
I mean, he didn't mess around. And like you said, all these goalkeepers back then, they could throw the ball clean from their own box over the halfway line, and they would just do it immediately.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's just nonsense. It's just nonsense. And again, like to just even talk about Casillas and his ability shows how bad the football is nowadays, that we're overcomplicating things and it hasn't led to anything looking better on the eye or looking as good as what we were used to watching.
No,
My goalkeeper that I went for this team is Julio Cesar.
that's a good choice.
Cesar, I don't think he gets the love that he deserves because it was a very quick rise to the top and then quick fall, because he was there for 5 years with Inter when Inter was arguably the best team on the planet, outside of Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. But just as fast as Inter went up, it went down because it was the tail end. Financial fair play came in, and then the money had to dry up. They couldn't spend money like they used to when Inter was building all the crazy teams in the past. But in that 5-6 year period, Julio Cesar made some unbelievable saves and was a huge reason why that Inter team was as successful as they were. So that's the reason why I went with him. For your back line, you got 3 center backs. We both got 3 center backs. I'm wondering if we picked any of the same.
Interesting.
Who
did you think there's one we both need to both pick the same?
That would be fun.
Well, the very obvious one is Paolo Maldini. I mean, the greatest defender of history. The guy took football IQ through the roof. He could defend with his eyes shut if he wanted to. He was that good.
Yep.
You just couldn't get past him.
Yep.
I mean, as well, you look at the longevity of his career. You don't find players hitting that length of time in their career. To his late 40s, he played. That's insane.
Yeah.
That shows you really how well he looked after his body and in preparation for sport, especially in the game. Because it's so easy as a defender to pick up injuries.
Especially then.
Yeah.
Maldini's the first one. Who are your other 2 center backs?
I've got to give shout out to the great Tony Adams. Arguably, I think what I've seen England's best defender in my lifetime is Tony Adams.
Facts.
I mean, I remember as a kid growing up, you'd get worried when you see the ball going near your own goal because you don't fully understand, like, your defenders would just deal with it. Mm-hmm. And my uncle just said, "Oh, don't worry, look that way." And then out of nowhere, the ball would be going that way, and it's Tony. He's just dealt with it.
Yep.
That's what he was like. The moment you see he's in defence, you're like, "Oh no, he's got this." He just brought that calmness to any team.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be real, at any point, any team on the planet, when he was playing, he could have walked into that defence.
Oh, yeah. Tony Adams, for me, I've said this on multiple occasions, Tony Adams for me is one of maybe 3 to 4 center backs in the same era that could get into that old Milan defense. He would have slotted in with no problem alongside Baresi, Maldini, and whoever else you wanted to keep out of the 4 that was there. He could have very well walked into that team instead of Marcel Desailly when Desailly went there. So Adams, for me, do you think – I know Henry's the greatest – Henry may be the greatest player in Premier League history, but do you think Adams gives Henry or Bergkamp a run for their money for the greatest player?
Absolutely. You go and just take his all-round game, but you got to take his leadership.
Yep, that's
the famous the clip Shane played with Ljungberg saying how he could walk into the manager's office and say, "They're not training today. Those players need a break. They're not training today," and the manager would listen.
Mm-hmm.
That is truly captaining a club, not just a team. And that's the greatness of Tony Adams. He wasn't just an elite player. The leadership of him, you just couldn't question it.
Yep. No, completely agree. So who's your third? Who are you rounding your defense off?
You just mentioned it, Marcel Desailly. The guy was like a titanium. He's like a wall. The moment you ran against that, you were just either bouncing off or he would just move you out the way. Another one is reading of the game. You just couldn't question it.
Yep.
Like if a ball was going to bounce, he knew it was going to bounce before the attacker did. And he would already react into where the attacker would be thinking to go. He was just that good.
Yeah.
And to think that Thierry Henry, in his early years at Arsenal, actually put Desailly on his arse. That's not an easy achievement, but that just shows you how good Henry was at that time. Because, like I said, it was like running into a titanium wall with Desai. The guy was a unit.
Yeah, and he's often forgotten about because Desai, Marcel Desailly, by the time he went to England, there was already 100,000 miles on him, and he wasn't where he was at Milan or Marseille, but he was still just as good as
Oh, he
anyone
was,
ever was. And when people start talking about the all time talks, he's better than a lot of these center backs that a lot of these people try to overhype. Desai walks into, first of all, Desai right now walks into any defense in the Premier League. Walks
oh,
any,
he was
he
ready
walks in any defense around the world. If I'm being honest with you, he walks in any defense around the world right now. And I know Liverpool loves their Van Dijk and everything else, but for me, Van Dijk isn't even close to Marcel
Oh,
Desailly,
no,
in my
nowhere near.
opinion.
I
But
don't think any defenders in the modern era are close to defenders from back 20 years ago. Nowhere near them.
no, not at all, not at all. So for the back line that I went with, I went very Milan as far as who these guys played with. It's a mixture. The first one that I went with in this back line of three, the center of the three, Laurent Blanc, was an absolute monster at Inter Milan. Was an absolute monster when it came to uh, being with the French national team, both being important for the 2000 Euro, the 98 World Cup. Laurent Blanc was just an absolute uh, monster as a center back. And I do like my center backs to have a little mean streak in them the way Laurent Blanc had it. And it definitely goes with the guy out to his left. If it wasn't for his stupidity and not nonsense in his game, Italy wouldn't have won the World Cup. But I went with Marco Materazzi, one of the dirtiest players. You have to say it. He is one of the dirtiest players, but he was effective. And like I said, you know, to lose the likes of a guy like Nesta and Materazzi stepped in and did what he did for the Italian national team, we wouldn't have won.
Well, to replace that name of all names, I mean, he was class. I have to be honest, I don't know much about who you just mentioned, but Nesta, I do know my fair share of. And if you could replace him, you are special.
So Materazzi was the guy who Zidane headbutted.
Oh,
Yeah, Materazzi's the guy who Zidane headbutted for talking crazy about his family,
sister, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I still can't believe you did that, man. What a way to end your career.
Hey, I'm not complaining. I got to see a World Cup for Italy.
Yeah.
To that, but Materazzi, you know, he's a lot of people forget because he is such a shit talker and is always in that side of the game. He's a very, if you were just to describe for modern day, he's a very Diego Simeone like player. Materazzi would foot in like no problem at that Atletico Madrid team, but Materazzi, people do forget how good of a defender he actually was. Yes, he could get the best of himself in trouble at times, unnecessary tackles. He would make rough tackles that could potentially lead to an injury for other players. Again, he's one of those guys that you hate him if he's not on your team, but you love him that he is on your team. So he was good. And then my other one to round off, I haven't used him in any of my teams, and I wanted to show him some love. Jaap Stam.
The Strangler.
Yeah. I think Jaap Stam gets overlooked a lot when people talk about the best Premier League defenders of all time. I don't know if I can name 7 center backs, in my opinion, that are better than Jaap Stam.
Not even half. I mean, I think his problem is how he would just strangle people. That's what he more became known for in such a short time in the Prem.
Yep.
And Fergie does say that's one of his biggest mistakes was selling him.
Yep.
I mean, he was brilliant. I did see a bit of him at AC Milan. He was brilliant.
Yeah. And I see, like, for me, one of the controversial things that I always say is I think Rio Ferdinand is heavily overrated.
I agree. Completely. I think John Terry's better than Rio.
I think Stam's better than him, if I'm being quite honest.
Yeah.
I think if you were to swap the age difference where Stam was younger and Ferdinand was older, I think Manchester United may win another maybe 1 or 2 Premier Leagues if it's Nemanja Vidic and Jaap Stam in the backfield than Vidic and Ferdinand, in my opinion. You know, so for me, So for me, I just wanted to show Jaap Stam some love because I think a lot of people forget how good Stam is. I mean, not only in England and Italy in the Eredivisie, he was absolutely fantastic. Um, yeah, Devante, my Dutch guy,
I'm surprised because you had a lot of legends on that. No one's actually picked him. That is a surprise.
Yeah, nobody's picked Stam from what I remember, unless there might have been maybe one other person who picked him. But like all the teams that I've put together, I haven't used him yet. So I thought it was like, who better to have in a shithousery back line with Materazzi, Lauren Blanc than Jaap Stam. So, so you've gone with the 3-4-1-2. Who are your two? Who are your two wingers for your four in the midfield?
Right. I'm big up Eros. I'm guessing a lot of people have picked Ronaldinho. So I'll get.
You're probably one of the first people to choose him.
Really?
Wow. A lot of people have left. He's in that same thing with Buffon where people are leaving them alone. They want to like show out for some other players because everybody talks so highly of him already. But yeah, you're like the first person that chose Ronaldinho for their team.
I just couldn't leave him out. I mean, for me, away from Arsenal, he's without doubt the best player I've ever had the chance of seeing on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
That man, you knew that when the ball was heading towards his feet, you just would stand up. You knew something was about to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And we all remember that Chelsea goal. I mean, my mom, who hated football, she was literally vacuuming the living room and she just stopped and just in awe, like, what the hell did he just do?
It's one of the greatest goals I've ever seen is that goal.
It was like he sambered on the spot and then just in it went. It was just like, how did he do that?
Mm-hmm.
And the gap between the two Chelsea defenders, it was talk about threading an eye through the eye of a needle. That was just unreal.
Yep.
Then you look at how he destroyed Real Madrid. I think he was the first player and probably the only one to get an applause from the Madrid fans at the Bernabeu.
While playing for Barcelona, yeah.
Yeah, he was so good. He was in prison still playing football.
Mm-hmm.
He only retired up until 2018, 8 years ago.
Yep.
That man now, he was that good. He could take his boots off, sit down, and they would beat everyone else on the pitch. If he was to play football now, no one comes near him. Even in his 50s, he runs circles around people.
Yep. I 100% agree. He's one of the guys that, like what we say in the chats of other people's streams, or like when we have talked to each other in the chat, he's the guy, he's the gold standard of showman, of why we love the game, of watching somebody's just creativeness. Yes, it's embarrassing whether he's doing it against your team or other teams or against your defenders or other defenders. It is what it is when facing him, but that's what we miss in the sport so much nowadays, is that we don't have the mavericks that get you out of your seat and just say, "Oh my God,"
He had that swagger about him, and he had every right to have that swagger. I mean, I remember the footage of him blindfolded doing keep-ups.
Yeah.
I can't remember what number he hit, and you can't see anyone doing that.
No.
No, we all remember the classic advert from the changing room with Brazil.
Oh, it's the best. That's the best.
That was real. Them just filmed off the cuff.
Mm-hmm.
It looked staged, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was real. Them just casually sitting there chilling, and someone throws the football in, and that's how they were.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he marks the last generation of true Brazilian football players, and I don't think there's any sort of Brazilian that comes near the quality of him in the last 20 to 25 years. Like, obviously, you got certain others, classic R9 and others, but I just thought Ronaldinho was just one or two levels above some of the others.
Yeah, no, completely agree, man. Completely agree that he was done wrong by Dunga in 2010 to not bring him for the World Cup. Even at Milan, he was still tearing it up when he moved from Barcelona to AC Milan. And I think Dunga, BBK says it all the time that Dunga's responsible for the fall of Brazil because of doing that. And he does make a very good point with that. because Brazil has been long gone of what we loved to watch Brazil for. Long gone. Who's your winger on the other side that you went with?
I've got to give shout out to this guy. For me, he's one of the most technically gifted players I've seen in the Prem, JJ Okocha. I mean, I remember when I first saw JJ, he was flicking the ball over Parler's head and laughing at him while he does it. And then I see him play Man United, and he's twisting at Roy Keane, left, right. And again, he's laughing at him. Like, the quality of JJ Okocha was just unreal. And I think he made a huge mistake by staying at Bolton.
Agreed.
But because of him, I went and watched Bolton.
Yep. Agreed.
And not just when you face Arsenal, but just that guy was so good. You would just go, I have to see what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone like Ronaldinho, just get you off your seat before the ball's at his feet. He's about to do something.
Do you think? So you're along that. I think he's along the same line of a lot of players that could have been world class, but never reached that level because of decisions to stay at certain smaller level teams. Would you agree with that about Okocha?
I think he was world class. He just didn't make the correct decisions of the clubs he played for.
Okay.
I think he's like the Tizier, where you have to acknowledge just the ability of the player.
That's who I was going to compare him to, was Letitia.
And you look at that Bolton team, they had some pretty damn good players back then as well. Ivan Campo, that bald little bastard, Giannakopoulos.
Mm-hmm. Giannakopoulos, yeah. No, yeah, man. They listen, you're not going to hear me complain about Okocha. I think he's one of those. This JJ Okocha and Letitia are kind of guys that I think about when I talk about this show and when I do this show. Is those guys don't get enough respect because they're better than a ton of players that people overhype and they don't realize how good they are. The only thing why I asked that with Okocha is similar to Letitia. It's like Okocha played at PSG, but PSG then wasn't PSG now. It was a completely different team. You know, back then, Lyon and Marseille were the big teams in France. PSG, not so much. And that's why I say, like, if he left Bolton and say he went to like a Manchester United at the time, do you think he would be looked at and appreciated more if he went to one of those sides?
Without doubt. Bolton. Like, I think he would have been making Ronaldo sit on the bench at the time. How good JJ Okocha was. I mean, you can't deny he taught Ronaldinho how to dribble. I mean, what more can be said?
Yep.
Ronaldinho himself says that JJ Okocha taught him how to dribble.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you everything. That one of the players that's in the FIFA 100 had to learn from another player.
Yep.
You have to give the shout out to that.
Yeah. No. 100%. 100%. I hear it. My two. So you've gone with the kind of more attacking four, kind of like how I have. So my two guys left the left mid for me in the four. I haven't used him yet. Nobody has put him on any of their teams. And I always say, for some reason, I don't think this guy was English. I think he was originally in Brazil and they dropped him off in England. I went with Joe Cole. Joe Cole was such a play. As much as I fucking hate Chelsea, Joe Cole was awesome to watch. It was a shame for liking him as a player. It was a shame that the injuries he picked up derailed him because I thought he could help Liverpool when he left Chelsea to go to Liverpool. But his time at West Ham and then Chelsea, Cole was just unbelievable. He would be the best player in the Premier League right now if he was playing in the Premier League.
And then when he got injured, he was benched by the likes of Damien Duff, who was elite as well, and Ian Robben.
Yep.
I mean, that shows you how good that Chelsea team was back then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He Joe Cole got me out of my seat. Like I said, we used in Italy, we always joke. We go, the English are good for goalkeepers, they're good for certain defenders, and they're good for big forwards. Technical players, Cole was one of those guys that made you rethink, okay, there's something's going on in England because we've never, because Italians are hard-headed and they like to think that their shit don't stink, and sometimes they don't give other people their props. And I think I think just Joe Cole, man, I loved watching him. The guy on the other side I went with, loved him at Arsenal, was sad that he was one of the players in the many group of players that we had to sell for money. Samir Nasri.
Yeah, he was class. But I
That,
think some of that was greed with him as well,
yep,
which is a shame because that did actually ruin his career. He massively underachieved, I feel.
yep. I often say it all the time. You have the 1982 Brazil, you have the 2002 Italy, you have several Dutch teams. But for me, one of the teams that never is talked about enough of how bad they were was that 2010 France team. You look at all the players that they had on that team, even after everybody who left from the 2006. There's that French cycle of players. There's so many what if stories in there. You have Nasri, you have Ben Arfa, you have Jeremy Menez, you have just so many good players that never lived up to the hype. And I agree with you. I think the money grab that Nasri had is what derailed him. I mean, the fact that he was already in the Turkish league by 29 kind of says the
Yeah,
kind of says what happened with Nasri, because he was still doing okay in Spain when he went to Sevilla, but his time at Arsenal I wish was longer, because he was absolutely he was one of my favorite players of the Emirates era.
it's like what was it Oscar that went to China from Chelsea? Another one that ruined his career by the money grab. He was a talented player and then
Yep,
just disappeared after that.
yep, yep. He's back in Brazil now, but I mean, it's like, you're 34. I hope you stacked up a good 100 million with all the non-taxable money you went with over there. Because yeah, like you said, Oscar was one. Was he on that Europa League title, or did he come the year after they won that?
I think he might have been on it. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, that he same, but like you said, same thing. He was such a talent. I mean, that goal, what is it? I think the first goal he ever scored for Chelsea is that lap around that he did. And it's like, you see that's the first goal. You're 20 something years old, and then within 3 years you're already running for money. It's like,
Yeah, it's really sad.
yeah, yeah. So who have you gone with your two central mids for this team?
See, I'm going to go with one I'm not a highly doubt many people have used is Gilberto Silva.
A lot of people
For
have
me,
not used him.
for me, probably the best like number six or defensive midfielder I've seen at Arsenal alongside Vieira and Petit,
Mm-hmm.
who I really feel does not give anywhere near the credit he deserves.
Nope.
That guy he could run the midfield by him. He was the general of the midfield. Vieira could just go forward, do what he wanted, because he knew Gilberto was there to just cover up for any potential attack that was coming our way. Without him, I strongly believe that midfield is weakened and we don't go invincible. Because if you threw the likes of Edu in there, I would never have trusted Edu to do anywhere near the job of Gilberto.
No.
And his first touch was elite as well, like Ronaldinho's. He could just bring the ball out the air and just ping it across the field. So
Yeah.
I feel like I had to give shout out to one of my all-time favourite Arsenal players in Gilberto, who by his style of play is not your typical Brazilian, but he signifies a really different style of play to that team that they had back then.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
I think he was a massive part of them going to the O2 World Cup and winning it.
Mm-hmm.
Because with him in midfield, it gave the rest of the unbelievable players just the freedom to do what they wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, 100% agreed. He Brazil's not renowned for having good defenders like that, and he is exactly what you said. He anchored the midfield and protected that back line. If he's not there, I don't know. Well, he's there for 02. He was a youngster, but they don't win. What was the Copa America they won? Was it 05 or 07? They don't win it without him. They don't win it without him. That he protected that defense so much. I mean, that's, like you said, that's especially after 02. That's Ronaldinho. That's so many good Brazilian forwards, wingers, and attacking midfielders. But as far as number sixes and protecting the back line, he was by far the best.
No, they couldn't leave him out. They knew they had to have him in there.
Yep.
In order for the attack to work, you needed Gilberto in there to control it.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. So who have you got lined up with him in the middle?
See, I changed this guy out about 2 or 3 times with Zico, but I've got to throw Zidane in there.
Ooh, you're not wrong either way. You're not wrong either way.
That was hard. I mean, literally 4 times today, I've moved Zika from one wing to the middle to the bench, and I'm just like, I can't leave Zidane out. You know how tough that is. I mean, I even said to someone like, "Look, I might have to leave Zidane out of this team," but no, I've had to put him back in. I
Yeah,
just couldn't do it. I mean, but he's like got the best Champions League goal of all time. I mean, that volley against, was it Leverkusen?
yeah.
I mean, how on earth did you manage to get the ball into the top corner from that angle? It's one of them ones where it defies physics.
He's, for me, easy top 10, debatable top 5 greatest player to ever play the game, in my opinion.
Oh
And
yeah,
and listen, I hate him because he's a Juventus great, but class is class. You have to respect it no matter what. And I mean, the ball just looked like he just had the ball. What's them little things when you were a kid? He looked like he had the ball like a yo-yo.
but
It was on a string. Never looked like he was going to make a wrong move with the ball. He was unbelievable.
And
Kind
if
of,
you did a 1-2 with someone, it was like a boomerang. You'd like whip a boomerang. That's how it was. It would just come straight back to his feet, and you'd do what he needed from there.
yeah, yeah, no, 100%. I just wish he never played for Juventus. That's all I'm going to say about Zidane.
But he got to enjoy his class at Real Madrid,
Yeah, yeah.
which
I,
yeah, it's a shame he didn't achieve more at Madrid. It really is.
it's a shock with all the great players that they had that they didn't achieve more.
It is. It really is.
That whole Galacticos thing. How you have him, how you have Guti, how you have Figo, how you have Becca,
Beckham.
Roberto Carlos, just everybody in general. How you have Raul. Uh,
R9.
yeah, it's just how do you have all these players and you can't and they never got over the line was absolutely insane to me. You know, Ronaldo phenomenal a little bit less because the funny thing is like you not only had the Galacticos period at Real Madrid, but you had kind of the similar thing at Inter in the late 90s and early 2000s with all the superstars they had and they didn't win that much with all the players they had and it's just a shock it's just a shock that both of those teams just didn't. You would think starting 11 wise, they're winning the league every year without question. And then, it's how many other trophies are you going to add to the league every year? And it's just a shock that they never won.
It really is.
So it's just absolute crazy. So my two center mids in this, I've gone with similar to you, one defensive midfielder and then one more of attacking midfielder. For the defensive midfielder, a little bit more recent, but fantastic and a legend of the city. I went with Daniele De Rossi.
Oh wow. Yeah, he was good.
De Rossi, similar to just like to Francesco Totti, Roma boy, would not play for another team in Italy, left to go play in Argentina for the 1 year. It was what it was with that. But at his peak, at his time in Italy, he was one of the best defensive midfielders in the country. And not only just flat out defense, could go forward too, could score from long range, good with both feet, was a threat in the air, good for free kicks, just an all around fantastic player. And I think De Rossi gets shuffled along and gets pushed to the side for other players. I just think De Rossi is one of the most underrated midfielders of the recent era. And then alongside him, he's one of my favorite players I ever watched. Was the vice captain and later the captain of Lyon. In my opinion, the greatest free kick taker of all time. I went with you. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I had him. I did have him in the team, but then I was just like, I just couldn't manage to leave out Zidane and Gilberto.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was unreal.
What a player!
No matter where he was we give him a free kick. No matter where he is on the pitch, it's going in.
I say this all the time, and this has come up a lot now. Not him as far as his name, but with the teams in the league at that time in France. There's this conversation going around now because Rooney's talked about and everybody else about where Neymar ranks, as far as one of the great players and everything else. I personally don't think Neymar's as good as everybody hypes up. I think
I agree with you.
talent on the ball, he's fantastic. It just basic eye test of seeing somebody being able to touch the ball, dribbling ability, and everything else. He's fantastic. There's nothing taken away, but he didn't live up to what he should have been.
No, not the right mentality, in my opinion. He massively underachieved.
Exactly. And the other reason is you played at PSG at a time where if PSG don't win the league, everybody's sitting here and scratching their head of why they didn't win, because it's a pretty much a foregone conclusion every year because of the amount of money that they have.
Wasn't he on the team when Brazil got absolutely panned by Germany?
Yep, he was still a Barcelona at that team.
And that was like one of the best parts of his career. I mean, how did you get panned that bad by Germany with the players in that Brazil squad? They were still good enough to destroy Germany in that game.
Yep.
It's a disgrace with Neymar. And the thing is, the diving and the rolling around really let him down.
Yep.
When you're seeing memes of coaches shouting Neymar and the kids start rolling around on the ground, I mean, that kind of says it all.
Yeah. That is, I've never thought of that, but that's a good point to make when people say stuff like that. And it's just to go along with what I'm saying about Juninho. Neymar looked good in France when France wasn't a great league. The early 2000s French league was an awesome league with that old Lyon team. I mean, that what we say about Atletico when Simeone first took over, how Atletico was a team that nobody wanted to play because of how they played. The shithousery, but they still had class about how they went about themselves and could knock you out. That was that Lyon team. I mean, there was plenty of times where Lyon beat better teams in Europe than what they were, and they played them off the park. I say it all the time. The Champions League stage where they beat the Galacticos 3-0.
Didn't they beat someone 7-1 one year?
Yeah, it was.
That's when they had Benzema and Ben Arfa still part of their squad.
That was the little bit. They had those two, and then they had. Do you remember Gorkov? Another.
Not much.
He went to Lyon. He was with that team when they did that. Gorkov was tasked by the entire French media as the next Zidane, because he carried Bordeaux to win a league title right when I think it was either Bordeaux or it was Marseille that ended the 7-year straight that Lyon had, and then Lyon never won it again. But Gorkov had won one of those titles right afterwards, and Gorkov was unbelievable. But that's what I mean. Neymar played at a time where PSG dominated. It was easy to win because of all the money. Exactly. He didn't play in the time where it was a much more rounded team and there were a lot better teams around than just PSG. Plus, everybody forgets Mbappe was with him the whole time. It's not like he was going up against Mbappe and Mbappe stayed at Monaco.
Messi
had a rivalry, right? And then eventually Messi comes, and then Sergio Ramos comes, and then all those. It just was a cluster, and I just. But to get back on topic, Juninho, like what you said, best free kick taker of all time.
He created knuckleball. That everyone thinks it's R9, CR7. Sorry, no, it was Juninho that created that.
Yep, it was Juninho, and like you said, he could score from wherever on a free kick. The ball would have moved. That knuckleball changed everything with the way he would shoot the ball. I mean, he's probably made more goalies look stupid than anybody else when it comes to free kick takes.
I think he's scored something like 74 in his entire career.
Yeah, it's close to. I think, is it 80?
I'll have to double check that. But I think it might be around the 74 mark.
Yeah, come on, 74 free kicks is ridiculous. So people are lucky if you see. You got to be top class to be able to even put 30 to 40 away. The way he was doing it, it was easier for him to score free kicks than score goals from open play.
Yeah, 75 to 77 official direct free kick goals, which is insane.
That's insanity. That's absolutely insanity.
And you think, like you said, he was at that Lyon team, and then they dropped off, but he was still there. He never failed to stop doing what he was doing, and then he did it for Brazil as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he was given much of a chance, was he, in the Brazil midfield? Because they had too many other bowlers that they would rather play ahead of him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, He really didn't play that much for Brazil. He was on the '06 team, and I think he made the 2010 team, but again, he wasn't getting in that many games. He was more of a bench guy.
which is a shame.
Yeah, yeah. Michel Bastos on that Lyon team was insane. Was insane. Yeah, John Boy's saying it here too. Amazing talent, just overhyped and a bit overrated. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
agreed. Absolutely agree. Yep, and Latvian Gunnar, big up Latvian Gunnar, man. With all the yeah, since me, who would you say? Who would you say are your 5 best guys that you've seen take free kicks in your time of watching football? I think Juninho's definitely there.
Roberto Carlos.
Roberto
Another
Carlos.
one that was quite similar to him was John Onorisa.
Yeah,
I broke Alan Smith's leg with the ball from a free kick.
yeah,
He was one of them players where you just like, I felt sorry for the wall.
yeah. Yeah, John Arne Reese had a cannon left foot.
Um,
Yeah.
I think you have to give Ronaldinho credit. He was truly talented with free kicks as well.
Pirlo too.
Yeah,
Pirlo too.
No.
You know who else? Who was the Japanese number 10 for Celtic? He was left-footed. He was very good at free kicks too.
Was it O something?
He has a crazy last name, and I know
Is it Honda?
That's it. Devante got it. Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura at Celtic was insane. Had an insane left foot for free kicks. Crazy bend on what he would do for free kicks. He was real good. Honda was good too. Honda, that's a good shout.
Yeah.
Honda.
You have to give Beckham his dues for free kicks as well. Beckham was unbelievable with his delivery.
Yep. Beckham, I think, is the one who changed it initially with how people wanted to bend it. You know, obviously, it's a play on words, the bend it like Beckham, but you know, he changed how free kicks were taken.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree.
That's a good shout too. Rekelba. That he was one of my favorite players growing up.
Like he disappointed me, but I have to give credit to Van Persie. He had a talent with free kicks at times as well.
Yeah.
Wesley Sneijder, another one.
Mm-hmm. Him and I'm so mad that he went to Spurs because he should have went to a better team than that. So was Van der Vaart.
Oh yeah.
I liked Rafael van der Vaart a lot, even though he made the mistake of going to that shithole in Spurs. That's a shout. He's good for the recent times. Ward-Prowse. He is good for the recent times. I don't think Ward-Prowse is in the same conversation as the guys that we're talking about, but he is good. I will give him the credit there. So with Zidane and Gilberto Silva as your 2 center mids, who you got as the number 10 for your team?
I couldn't leave him out. The Iceman, Dennis Bergkamp. I mean, for me, I know you said Henry, you felt was the best Premier League player of all time. I'm sorry, I've got to give it to Bergkamp. He raised the level, not just of Arsenal, but the Premier League itself. He was just, there's just not enough words you can use to describe him with superlatives, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. He was so good. That guy could. I remember seeing him with Ian Wright, and he's wearing level shoes like he'd wear for a suit. Best touch you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
The most inappropriate footwear for football, and he can still play like he was 20 years ago.
Yep.
And it's his timing, his reading of the game. I swear that man had like 360 vision. It was like Merlin. He would just cast a spell on people the moment the ball was at his feet, and he would just do what he wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Such a lead. I mean, he could like jump in the air. Like you look at the statue outside Arsenal. He did that for Holland as well. He didn't just do it for Arsenal, and he brought it down perfectly on his toe. That first touch, world class.
Jacques, I personally don't think it's comparable between Van Persie.
Yeah, there's no comparison. And Shimon Gary Lineker, he meant that Newcastle goal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lineker's a hater for that. Lineker's a hater for that.
Straight, like he even was just like, "Oh my word, what have I just seen?"
Mm-hmm.
He knew it, he meant that as a striker. And Shearer is a great striker in his own right. You can't leave him out of that.
No. But see,
Oh man, he's just so good.
yeah, you know what's funny about it with him is that he was only at Inter for 2 years, and he came out of Ajax absolutely blitzing people, and it really didn't work out with him at Inter. I know he won the UEFA Cup in '94 with Inter when he came over, but they were going through stuff. Managers were changing, and he had troubles with injuries and stuff at Inter. But his 11 years at Arsenal, I mean, like you said, he for me, I think Henry and Bergkamp are the two greatest players in the history of the Premier League, in my personal opinion.
I prefer Bergkamp above Henry personally.
Either way, I don't think anybody's wrong for picking either or. It's just it has to be those two. Bergkamp was just a freaking joke, dude. He was.
You know, players are assessed today on how they get assists. If you apply that to Bergkamp, his are like 500-600. I guarantee you, his level of assists. He played in the time where assist was literally either the ball straight and off a shot or one touch in the shot.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't get the full. Like if you had this whole stat merchant, I can't stand him.
Mm-hmm.
But he does not give the full credit for the assists he did actually create.
Yep.
Without him, Henry doesn't score anywhere near the amount of goals he does for Arsenal if it's not for Bergkamp.
Nope, completely agreed. And there's a reason why when they asked Henry, they said, "Who's your greatest teammate that you ever played with?" And he said Bergkamp, and everyone's like, "Not Messi." He goes, Bergkamp. that speaks for itself right there. So with Bergkamp as your number 10, who are the two strikers that you went with in front of him?
I've gone with El Phenomenon, R9. I mean, I couldn't leave him out. For me, one of the best strikers I've seen in my lifetime. I've had to mostly go and watch footage of his time in Inter, and my word, how could someone move at that speed, dribbling past players, step overs, and scoring goals in the way he did? There was no one doing it like that.
Nope.
The talent and skill you do not see at all. And I hate seeing modern football. When I see players like that, I know that he was that good. He could create the most ridiculous haircut to take attention from an injury and people more focus on his football.
That is one of the worst haircuts I've ever seen, though. I will say that. But
he was not talented. People ignored the haircut and were more focused on his football. I mean, that says it all.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And like I said, when I was with Shane and we were talking about it with him being like a waste of talent and stuff, I go, if you're talking about single off years, his year at PSV and his year at Barcelona may be better. But what he was doing with Inter and how good the Serie A was at the time with who he was doing it to, it's just a different level.
Yeah.
He didn't win that much with Inter, but for me, I think that's his best period because he made the best defenses scared.
Yeah,
like nobody wanted to play him. And there's no better description of him than that picture, that freeze frame where it's Maldini and Cannavaro coming at him and he's dribbling through the two of them.
Exactly.
There's no other better way to describe how good he was.
If you can get past just one of them, you're unbelievable. You are without a doubt world class. But to get past both
at the same time,
you're on a different planet. You are on a different planet.
Yeah. 100% agreed. 100% agreed. So who you got lining up next to Ronaldo?
I've got to go with he's, like you said, one of those players you hated seeing him play against your team, but you just had to admire his talent. Didier Drogba.
First one to choose.
He was just one of the most prolific strikers I've ever seen. He was a nightmare for Arsenal, for Liverpool, for United. No matter who he faced, he was an absolute nightmare. He could bring the ball off his chest back to goal and he'd turn and he would put it in the top corner from 30, 40 yards out. Arguably one of the greatest African strikers of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was hard to put him in front of George Weah because he was someone else I wanted to include. But I went with what I've actually seen over my lifetime, and Didier Drogba was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
One of the best strikers. He was world class. He should have won a Ballon d'Or, in my opinion. He was unplayable. Like it was like a bit of payback for us. Like how every team felt about Henri, we now felt that for Drogba.
Yep. Yep. And you know what's crazy is this may be controversial for some people. I know how a lot of people talk about how insane Man City was when they scored their 100 goals in a season. That Chelsea offense under Ancelotti, when they had him, Lampard, Cole, Maluda, I don't know if Deco was still there, but I know Ballack was there with Lampard and everybody else on that Chelsea team. That Chelsea team was a joke scoring goals.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Even
that under Ancelotti, they were a joke. And Drogba was part of it. He was just insane.
His first 2 years under Mourinho, he was a nightmare. I mean, he truly hit the ground running.
Yep. And he was a nightmare at Marseille. You know, you got to be a damn good striker especially at the time he was brought over, for you to be able to stand your ground and somebody tried to throw you off by bringing in Shevchenko, because Shevchenko was one of the best strikers in the world coming from AC Milan. Now, obviously, the way Chelsea played at the time in the English game really didn't work with him at that time, but either way, you have to give Shevchenko props of who he was. And for Drogba to sit there and just make sure that Shevchenko got thrown back to the bench shows all about who Didier Drogba is. And I agree with you. It is kind of a shame that he never was even in close for a Ballon d'Or at all, because when people talk about big game players, he's one of those guys that you have to talk about. He may not show up for some shitty games for maybe a bottom half team here and there. He may take a day off. But when it counts, Drogba's as good as any striker that people talk about when it comes to showing up in the big games.
Especially cup finals as well. He would definitely show up in those.
Yep. Do you think if they had any other striker at that period, do you think Chelsea wins as much as they do? Or do you think he was the perfect striker for them?
He was the perfect striker. He was like, because they had good Johnson, right? But he wasn't the vocal point Drogba was. He would bully defenders. I mean, to bully Sol Campbell and Kolo Touré at once was not an easy thing to do.
Yep.
To bully Roy Keane and put him on his ass a few times was not an easy thing to do. To go against Vieira, Gilberto at our clubs, he was something special.
Yep.
And the thing is, right, you look at that attack, good, Johnson was good, but Drogba was the one who could keep up with Robben and Duff on the wings with Lampard. Lampard and him were like kind of psychically connected. They knew where to run. Lampard knew where to pass.
Yep. No,
100%. I mean, Damien Duff is another one. I struggle to not put him in. I feel he's massively underrated.
100% agreed. 100% agree. He was carrying Fulham when he went to Fulham after Chelsea. He was carrying them. I mean, Fulham made a couple of Europa League appearances while he was there. Duff often gets forgotten about how good he was.
I agree.
Is it because kind of like Duff played at the time where Chelsea was just starting, and because he didn't stay there for the long haul, you think that's why Duff is forgotten about?
I also think that you need to look at the 15 goal thing. I think people focus too much on how little they conceded that season and didn't actually look at much of the attack. Because we hear the Smith all the time, they were defensive, they parked the bus. No, they didn't. I mean, just listen to the names I mentioned: Duff, Robben, Lampard, and Drogba. That team would be on your defense in a second.
Yep.
It was scary. That's how good it was.
Yep. 100%. And they put it, I think it was Javi who put it in the chat. I didn't know that Ballack went there for free. That's a shock that he got. That's a shame that he ended up there for free. Fucking Chelsea. Yeah. And plus, you know what the thing is? Like, to what you're saying, playing the low block. or they set up defensively. Mourinho could do both, but the problem is look how great that defense was. They didn't even need to do a complete low block.
Exactly.
Exactly with what we were saying earlier about like Ferdinand getting overhyped. You never hear anybody talk about how good Ricardo Carvalho was on that Chelsea team, and even the other kid, the fullback Paulo Ferreira was a damn good fullback.
He was brilliant as well.
And even up until his wife was getting fooled around with John Terry, Wayne Bridge wasn't a bad.
I didn't know about that one. I thought it was just Bridge.
Yeah.
Wow. Terry really is a scumbag.
Oh yeah, when he was fooling around with Bridge's wife, yeah.
Yeah, I knew about that one, but I didn't know about who else you just mentioned.
No, I was talking about Bridges' wife. If I said something else, no. Well, listen, if he was, I don't know, and I don't mean to put anything out there. I'm not trying to.
It's talking with him,
but yeah, listen, I hear it, but they often slag off Carvalho, and like you said, plus you had Michael Essien sitting in front of them.
He was another, talk about nightmares. He was another one for us that was an actual nightmare.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that goal with the outside of his foot, and I'm just looking at Almunia, like, you're going to let this in, aren't you? And you can just see it, and it's just like, oh no.
No, I agree, and like I said, you got your defense. If your attackers are allowed to just go and attack, Chelsea could do that. And then when you look at and like I said, the other guy, Claude Makelele, is one of the best number 6s of all time, too.
Yeah, Madrid should never have sold him.
Yeah, yeah, for damn sure they should have never sold him. But when you got Makelele, Essien sitting on top, and then you have the different likes, like we said, Ferreira, Carvalho, Terry, and then Ivanovic, another guy who people forget how great he was. Ivanovic, too. Chelsea didn't need to sit back. They already had a good defense.
Exactly.
They just had an unbelievable defense. And, yeah, no, but Drogba, that's a huge shout. He's another one that a lot of people haven't picked. A lot. He hasn't been picked.
He has to be considered one of the best strikers in Premier League history. Drogba, you have to put him in that conversation.
I agree. Would you say he's better than Kane?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because of the big games?
Yeah.
I hear it.
It's also the mentality.
Yep. I hear it. So for my 3 that I went with main striker with 2 guys on either side of him being secondary strikers. On the left side, I love this guy. I was hoping that he was going to be coming to Arsenal while we were holding on to Van Persie. I don't think he got as much credit as he deserved after that first year at Arsenal. I think he's one of the players that Wenger screwed up on, but I chose Lucas Podolski.
Yeah, he played him on the wing. You should have him as a striker alongside Giroud.
Yep.
That guy could dent a post with his shot.
Yeah, and him, he was okay at Bayern, but him playing as a secondary striker off the left-hand side with Cologne, he was just unbelievable. And his first season at Arsenal, I mean, he was scoring some screamers for us. Mm-hmm. And he was part of the reason why the last jersey that I bought from Arsenal is the black and purple, the away one. I don't know what it is, but I just love the way they did that jersey. And Podolski was my guy. I wanted him at Napoli because we were linked with him too. But then when he went to Arsenal, I was like, dude, we're going to have Podolski with Van Persie. We're going to smoke everybody. And then the word came out that Van Persie was leaving, and it was like, Jesus, really? Because I stand by it. If Van Persie doesn't, all this nonsense that you hear from some of these top gooners when they talk about, I don't know if Wenger was given money at the tail end of his career because it's not the same Wenger if he doesn't win. If you give Wenger you don't even have to give him anywhere near $1 billion. Give him $200 million to spend, and if you get to bring all those players in and keep Van Persie, we win the league that year. There's nobody who can convince me otherwise to say that Arsenal still wouldn't have won if they kept Van Persie, if Podolski and everybody else.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, I remember one of the awful games against Bayern, the awful 5-1s.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only one who actually showed any fight against Bayern away.
And isn't he's the one who scored the 2 goals?
Yeah, he did. I remember he got that angry with it and he just smashed it in. And it was like about bloody time. Where has that been both fixtures?
Mm-hmm.
And that was Podolski. He had that mentality. He was like, that's it, I've had enough of this.
Mm-hmm.
And you need players like that in your team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. And like I said, I was sad. And then when he came to Italy on loan from Arsenal, when he went to Inter, I was sad that it didn't work out for him because Inter on paper had a decent team. It's just the injury started piling up on him at that time and he just never was the same. But then it was like when he got away from Italy and he got away from England and when Arsenal let him go, and I think he went, was it Galatasaray he went to?
I think so.
I think he went to like Turkey or something, but then he was lightening it up again. And it was like, fuck, did we miss out on some times with him, man? He was good. He was good. I always liked Podolski. On the right-hand side, I went with a throwback here. Again, part of that old Brazilian team from 06 and that great Brazilian run of 06 and 2010. I went with Robinho. Robinho.
Another brilliant player.
When you talk about the Joga Bonito commercials, him, Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos, Cafu, all those guys. Robinho was a showman like no other. One of the greatest step overs I've ever seen in my life. The way he used to just dribble past and slide people.
It is a shame he never really did much at City because he was class at City. I remember when he got there, I was annoyed.
I think he left too early. I think he left City too early. If Robinho, I forgot who I was just talking about this on a different show. I don't know if it was with BBK on his channel, but if you look at that team that City won the first time with Mancini, and if you keep Robinho there, they don't win that on goal differential. They smoke the league.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
If you're talking Robinho, when you got Robinho, Dzeko, and Aguero as a front three, and I think Nasri, wasn't it the first year Nasri left Arsenal was the year that they won the title with
I think it was.
So you got so you got Nasri and Balotelli coming off the bench, and you got David Silva as the other winger, and then on the other side would have been Robinho with Dzeko and Aguero in front. That'd be insanity.
Yeah, it was.
It'd be insanity.
But also, it's down to the coaching choices by City at that point because they didn't have Mark Hughes with Robinho.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a terrible decision to have as a coach with a player like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think he's still in jail in Italy because he got in trouble for some stuff in Italy because he was another nutcase with partying and everything else. Yeah, Sean Wright Phillips was on that too. Yeah. Dzeko is slept on. He was awesome at Rome. I hated him because he was a Napoli killer, but Dzeko was a great goal scorer. And then speaking of Rome and goal scorers, my striker to head up that front three, my boy, fellow Neapolitan-born Vincenzo Montella. Montella with Rome back in the day, him, Batistuta, and Totti were one of the best front threes I've ever seen play together. And Montella, he was, I think, same height as me. I think he's 5'8". Leaping ability was unbelievable. He was class in the air for how short he was, but unbelievable goal scorer as well for Rome. Was absolutely fantastic. Didn't do enough at the international level. I thought he should have gotten a couple more call-ups, but at the time that you have Luca Toni and Filippo Inzaghi and some other players, it makes it that much harder to get into. But Montella is another guy for me that I just want to show some love to because he's often forgotten about. He's one of the best strikers, especially in Italian history. Montella is often slept on. For your three bench guys that you went with, who's your defender that you chose for your bench?
I actually went with Roberto Carlos. I was thinking of adding him into the three, but no, it's just like it just wouldn't work if you were to pick that as an actual defense. But yeah, I've got to give Roberto Carlos his credit. Electric pace, sorry, unbelievable touch, and part of what I feel was the best international squad I've seen in my time of the '02 Brazil team.
Mhm.
That team was just ridiculous with the names that are in it. Like it was almost criminal that they could field that squad.
Yeah.
Another one of the best free kick takers of all time. I mean, that free kick against France, how that ball moved in the air, it's just like, how was that even possible? And I'm not sure if it's true, but I heard he used to wear boots that were like a size or two small for his feet, which is how he would get off a shot like that. I don't know if that's true.
I've never, you know what? I've never knew that, but that's definitely something that I'm going to look into. It wouldn't doubt it. Everybody has their little niche that helps them do what they do when it comes to sports and everything else. So I wouldn't doubt it if it was something like that. So, um, okay, so you've gone with Roberto Carlos. Who's your midfielder?
I have to give credit to the legend Zico.
Hmm.
And it's such a shame that man didn't win a World Cup because he was without a doubt the best player to follow Pele. I mean,
Yeah,
the fact Pele even said he's good enough on my level.
yeah.
And
I don't think
I'll
anybody's chosen him. I don't think anybody's
really,
chosen him on any of their teams. No,
wow, I am genuinely surprised. I mean, you have to count Zico in as one of the all-time greatest players of history.
agreed.
Some of the goals I've seen that guy score are just insane. Just like, how on earth did you do that? There's one where he comes off his studs and it goes
Yeah, the
into the
front
bottom
kick.
left corner, and it's just like, how? And he looks like Superman in midair.
Yeah, yeah. His front kick flip goal is one of the greatest goals I've ever seen. He's insane. Like you said, Zico. Funny thing, Zico sits at the table with Pelé as far as Brazilians. When you start talking about the greatest Brazilians, it's Pelé, it's Zico, it's Charcinho, it's Ronaldinho, it's those guys. Those are your true mavericks. That's why it's like when people, not to beat a dead horse, but like when people bring up Neymar, it's like, bro, there's levels, and
Yeah.
especially there's levels when you talk about Brazil
Oh,
for
without a doubt.
and
It's
Zico.
to meet, and none of these current or the last Brazilians in the last 20 years meet that standard.
Yeah,
None of them.
agreed. Agreed. Definitely agreed. So Zico's your midfielder. Then who's the striker that you rounded it off with?
I have to give honorary mention to the legend George Weah, the only
Ooh.
player ever to receive a Ballon d'Or, which is a crime, in my opinion.
Yep.
The
Agreed.
way African football is dismissed and disrespected. I mean, the recent controversy doesn't help with the AFCON, but you can't ignore a legend like George Weah.
No.
I mean, it was before my time. I've had to go and look at footage and stuff he could. And for AC Milan, that guy was he was lethal, man.
George Weah. George Weah is again another. George Weah is put in that same category for me as like Clarence Seedorf. They are world class players, way better than a lot of players that other people claim is world class, and they're never given the respect they deserve. People often forgot, like in Seedorf's way, that he's won 4 Champions League titles, and he did it with the likes of Ajax, Madrid, and AC Milan. George Weah was shredding everything in sight when he was playing. George Weah, exactly what you said. It is a crime that he's the only African player to win a Ballon d'Or, but he well deserved because I think probably for a 2, maybe 3 year span, he might have been the best player in Italy at that time. That wasn't a defensive player as far as like Maldini's and Baresi's at that time. Way is probably the best attacking player at a point in Italy. I mean, you got to do well to fill in the shoes of Ruud Gullit because Gullit was
Yeah.
absolutely insane too. That's a shot, man.
I
That's only
bet Maldini was. I bet Maldini was happy he was on the same team as George Weah.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And it's funny. I think the only other person that picked George Weah was BBK. I think
Wow.
he's the only other person that's picked George Weah for their team. So that's an interesting one. My three on the bench, my defender, I went with Ivan Cordoba, the Colombian center back for Inter. Was a solid center back, was a bulldog, hugely responsible for helping Inter out winning the trophies they did. Him and Materazzi was the center back pairing, and they were just phenomenal. Juventus had to rig some seasons in order to get the trophies over them, but they earned those trophies outright. Him and Materazzi was a very good center back pairing, so I wanted to give Cordoba some love. My midfielder, he is one of my favorite Arsenal players. He's one of the players that made me fall in love with Arsenal when I started watching the British game. I bought his jersey. I don't know where it's at. I don't know if it's at my mother's house or at my dad's house or somewhere. I hope I still have it. But Alexander Hleb. Hleb.
He should never have left, man.
He should have never left. And he's better than any midfielder we got.
Yeah. His ability was unreal. Like, he could just dribble past anyone for fun.
And was so smooth.
Yes, he just knew what to do at the right moment. He was the perfect Wenger-like player. He loved players like that.
Yeah, and he was the one. I say this all the time. Arsenal's the team that I saw play the same football that I loved in Italy, and that's why I gravitated towards Arsenal. And Hleb at the time was just one of my favorites to watch. Like you said, it didn't matter who was in front of him. He was going to dribble past you and make you. And it would be, he's one of those guys that he could do the insane dribbling, but he was just so class with the simple touches. And it just looked so effortless to him. He was just absolutely insane.
And he didn't have to sprint either. He would basically be a jogging pace past players. Yep. He should have won the league with us in 07-08. That season with the Eduardo leg break, that was one of the biggest collapses. We should have won it that year.
Yep. 100% agreed. 100%. And if we win the league, I don't think he leaves.
No.
I don't think he leaves. And what's sad was he went to Barcelona. You thought, okay, now he's going here. They're going to play similar football. And he was just garbage when he went to Barcelona. He had spots, but it was never what he was at Arsenal. But Hleb is one of my favorite players that I've seen. And then to round it off with a striker, fantastic for Arsenal, was good for Lyon when he went there afterwards. I went with Sylvain Wiltord.
Oh, Mr. Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Golden Sega kit.
Yep. Yeah. So Sylvain Wiltord, often forgotten about by certain people, but was a class striker. If it's not for the strikers and attackers that we had, Wiltord could start for majority teams in the Premier League if it wasn't for him being at Arsenal. But always a big game player on the international level or for any club that he played for. If he showed up if he was called upon during a big game, he'd answer the call. And Wiltord's again another player. Like for me, he doesn't get enough love. He's one of my favorite players that I've watched.
I agree. Whenever I see the golden Arsenal Sega kit, he's the only player I think of. Without him, we do not win the league at Old Trafford.
Yep.
He's the one who scored that goal. I'm talking about big game moments. That is one of the biggest moments in a game you'll get.
Yep. 100% agree. 100% agree. Brother, that 11's awesome, man.
It was hard because us at the likes of Del Piero was in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've actually got
big up Shane Gooner. Big up Shane.
I mean, the names I've had to leave out. I mean, Del Piero. I had originally had Berbatov in there because Dimitar Berbatov is another unbelievable player. Yep. I don't feel he gets the recognition he deserves. I had Javier Zanetti in at one point. I had to take him out.
I was going to ask you how many players. Shane said it when he did his. For me, even this far in, when I start thinking about these teams, I'm good for at least 4 to 5 changes to my team. when I think about players that I'm going to mix in with different ones. How many did you have when you were putting this team together?
Counting it here, actually. 10.
I hear it, man. It's not as easy. It's not as easy when what people think. It's not as easy, especially
No,
because
it's really not.
games.
Like, especially in the midfield, you settle on it and you go away to make like a cup of tea, and you're just like, oh my word.
Mm-hmm.
You just remember, like, for example, I remembered Bergkamp. I kind of forgotten I was going to try and leave him out, but I was like, no, I can't leave him out. I had him, Zidane, and Zico hit me at the same time in my head. I was just like, oh, for goodness sake, I have to include these guys.
I hear it, man. I hear it. The problem with me is I got to keep coming up with a different team. I'm starting to run out of names once I've gotten through, but that's why I love this, because it makes you think. It makes you think about when football was great, and it makes you appreciate all the different players that were around back then, and not like what
I'll tell you one that I did originally have in the team, and it was so hard to remove him for JJ Okocha, was the Honourable Rocky Rocastle for Arsenal. Before my time, he left the year I was born, which is, I wish I'd been born 10, 15 years early, because from what I did get to see, the few bits of footage I have seen, he was unreal for Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just a quality midfielder.
Yep.
To take him out, it was not an easy decision. But originally I had to go with players I've seen play, and JJ Okocha, all round technical ability, what he could do with football. I couldn't leave him out, man. It was hard.
Big up Quadra every single time. Yeah, no, I wouldn't blame you. I see. I think my favorite Arsenal player is, man, it's between Adams, Henry, and I'll be honest with you, the third one is Liam Brady for my favorite. You know, I hate Brady because he was a legendary Juve player. He was insane at Juventus. That's the only thing that draws it back a little bit for me. But what he did, those I would think Adams, Henry, then Brady, then probably Bergkamp is fourth for me as far as like my favorite ones. And then there's going to be some of like because I love Mark Overmars. He's up there too. He's up there too for me.
Well, it's really classic Arsenal yellow Sega kit. They had the blue stripe. Whenever I see that, he's the one player I think of is Overmars.
Mm-hmm.
Because of one of my uncles was always have that shirt on.
I hear it. Bringing it up to present day, what did you make of the fiasco on Sunday with this League Cup final? Because I lost my shit. I ended up doing a 3.5 hour stream afterwards because I was pissed off, and I'm sure I saw you check in on there for a little bit, and I'm sure you were pissed off too.
I destroyed the door. I've had to replace the door. You know, the first goal, when I saw what Kepa did, I was off. I was just like, no. But then the second goal, Saka went, what the hell are you doing? He was asleep. O'Reilly, 10 to 20 yards, just wandered. He didn't even run, just wandered in front of Saka, free header.
Yep.
And Arteta, he really showed how pathetic he is. If you listen to the press conference, there's no emotion, there's nothing to his voice. He doesn't care. It's kind of like, well, it happened, it's done.
Yep.
And I'm sick of this whole attitude, especially legends of our club. How dare you, like Shane said, dismiss this? Ian Wright, Martin Keown, especially Keown, I saw that thing on TalkSport, and he's actually talking over a fan going, oh, are you a coach? Are you a coach? Martin, are you a coach? How about you shut up and let the Arsenal fans speak and listen to what he has to say? Because this is unacceptable. Yep. They would not have tolerated that as a player. You think Ian Wright's letting the goalkeeper do that in front of him? He's grabbing him by the throat like, what the hell was that? So would Keown.
Yep.
I tell you now, Kepa's getting knocked out in the changing room at half time by those two at least, and the others.
Facts.
And it angers me because I was on YouTube Music earlier, and Hot Stuff came across my recommended, and I was listening to that, and it's just like, right, so I'm listening to of a time when this club was proper, when we had this ground where standards were a must. You don't ever drop them. You win or you go.
Yep.
This shit right now is unacceptable. This is not Arsenal. I don't know what it is, the whole lack of style. We play well and we beat you in style under Wenger. That's what I got used to. Now I'm seeing, I don't even know what it is. It's not even rugby. It's the most anti-football I've ever. I have lost my love for the game because of it at times. I have to go away and watch other football in different leagues because I can't stand it. And how anyone puts up with this, and how I was hearing people before the game, Arteta and Pep both had a conversation. They decided to both play the keeper. No, they had no conversation. Shut up. And the players as well, Declan Rice, none of them to just admit, look, they were terrible. Not one of them has admitted the truth. And that, and as well, annoys me. They should give up their wages for the week, refund every fan that went to that stadium, and go there and stand in front of them and take every single bit of abuse and frustration from those fans.
Yep.
33 years. That's my age. We've not won this cup. I've tripled my life since we last won the league, and this shit's that's not right.
No,
I almost completely broke down emotionally the other night because I've had enough of it. 22 years without the league, and I just like, is this going to change?
See, the thing with me is this, right? First off, I can't watch Talk Sport anymore if Martin Keown's there because I know bullshit's going to come out of his mouth. Again, like I said, the fact that you tried comparing Odegaard to Liam Brady, you should never speak on Arsenal again. Just off, I don't have to listen to anything more than just that.
No, my granddad would be turning in his grave if he heard that.
And that's why I won't listen to him. And then, like, Ian, I forgot who put it to me or who said it about Ian Wright first in the show I did, but I went back and watched it the next morning. And it's like, dude, you showed up in a suit with some fucking Miami, Florida Cuban fedora hat on, trying to act like you were ready for a party, and because Arsenal was going to win. And then all of a sudden, after 90 minutes, it's a complete 180, and you say, oh, it doesn't matter. So what the fuck do you mean it doesn't matter? It's a trophy, dude.
Exactly. He never would have said that as a player.
Exactly. You would have never said that as a player. And if Tony Adams was around, you for damn sure weren't going to be saying that. Tony Adams would have slapped you 8 ways to Sunday.
Absolutely. He would have just got a phone call or a text from Tony, meet me in the concourse. The moment Ian walks up, he's getting slapped.
Exactly.
Or he's getting told, like, what the hell was that? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Ian's had a message off for Tony offline, like, explain yourself. Because that's disgusting. Like Jez and Shane said, give up your winners' medals then, Keown and right? Give them to real fans who have put their blood, sweat and tears and years into this club, supporting those exact two players.
Yep.
Obviously, I can't say that. I was about a year old when that happened. But what a fucking disgrace. And you think of all the fans that have come and gone that saw that moment, that left this world happy with that in the memory in their head, and then you got the player that they loved talking this shit. No.
And then on top of it, it's not only the bad performance, but then that whole incident with Martinelli and Savinho on the side. It's like, dude, what the fuck you...
I was watching it. Like, what on earth is that? I remember the days Vieira and Keane were fighting with each other.
Yep.
They would be in the tunnel. The most contact they would have, maybe one eye would look at the other and they would slightly nod to say, you ready? I'm ready. And it would be war. I've heard Keane say when he knew he was playing Arsenal, he would start to build up hatred. He'd build up anger for days, and Fergie would deliberately rile him up, ready for that game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that fight and that's real passion for the sport. And like, I want to win at all costs, not by using dirty tactics with this whole time wasting and falling over and 44 seconds to take a corner and no.
45 seconds for a ball at the goalie's feet. That, I mean, I was saying, I forgot who I had said it to when we were talking about it, because they showed me some clips where there were actual people trying to make excuses like it's not that big of a deal that Martinelli was talking to Savinho on the side. And I'm like, brother, I go, before I even started watching the Premier League and got hip to game about Roy Keane versus Vieira and everything else, I grew up watching Italy. I go, man, it's the hatred between, you couldn't see no players of Rome and Lazio doing that. They'd get the two fan bases together would kill the fucking players.
Kieran would have done that. I mean, we've all seen Kieran jump in Van Nistelrooy's face. He would certainly have not been laughing with an opposition player on the touchline warming up.
Exactly.
He looked at him like with an absolute death stare, like, what the hell are you doing? Piss off.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's sitting there talking this crap. Like, shame on him. Like, he needs to remember, he jumped in Van Nistelrooy's face, shoved him, all of that. He had that nastiness, that winner's mentality. Now he's like, oh, okay, it's all right to be a loser. No.
Yep. And then here's something I wanted to ask you, because I went back and watched the game, and I think it's actually a hilarious talking point, because you got some of these people nowadays who are trying to overcomplicate the sport, who are trying to overanalyze how people play and all this. It's a very simple game.
Yeah.
It's a simple game. The problem is all these new wave managers and all these new idiots and pundits that are involved want to overcomplicate the game to try to give an excuse to why the game is going the way it is and why football is as bad as it is to watch right now, especially in the Premier League. But those two times that Kepa is sitting on the ball, they were trying to say some nonsense of, oh, Pep changed the formation to a 4-2-4. That's the reason why we couldn't play out from the back. He didn't know what to do and blah, blah, blah. And I go, like we said earlier when we were talking about Casillas, what the fuck is the whole point of goalkeepers needing to know how to pass the ball out with their feet and distribute with their feet if you can't just make a simple lob pass?
Exactly.
What like you have this. I think Jamie Carragher is one of the dumbest people I've ever heard talk about the sport. And the fact that you're here trying to actually give an excuse to Kepa to why he wasted over a minute in two different periods of just trying to look around to pass the ball. It's like, bro, we were told not only when we bought Raya, but when we brought Kepa, that they're good with their feet. You need a goalkeeper with good ball distribution in order to help out with the offense. Bro, if you can't make a simple 20-yard fucking lob pass over the first wave, the fuck are you doing with us?
Well,
it's needed.
It's a goalkeeper. They need to be good with their hands. If you can't control the ball with your hands, what are you doing? You shouldn't be in goal. You shouldn't be playing football for a full stop, really. Because a goalkeeper, really, their main game should be with their hands, not their feet. And it all comes back to this nonsense of there's two players in the box and a goal kick. That's part of this whole ruining it.
I don't get that thing.
I can't stand it. Way the football's gone now, it's like these managers are trying to make an overcomplicated game of chess. That's what they're trying to make football.
Yep.
And then they're going, oh, it's because of this, because of this. It's not chess, it's football.
Mm-hmm.
Players need rhythm and freedom to play and pass the ball. That's how we couldn't get out and play against City. There was no rhythm, there was no tempo to our play. There was no one dictating it in the midfield. That's why 29 was there.
Yep.
As the 10 is to be the one with the ball, picking it up in midfield and dictating our play, moving us forward. But he did nothing. And the player that can do that is actually out injured because Arteta just runs his players into the ground.
And it's actually a good segue with what I was with the next question I was gonna go with. after what just happened, I've been a believer in saying that I've said with $1 billion spent 6 years in, one trophy is not good enough. Now, if it was the Champions League, because that's the trophy that we've never won, I may hear that he gets to stay an extra year if he wins the Champions League. But if the Premier League's the only league he wins, I'll thank him. Thank you for finally getting over the line and figuring it out for a season. But I want him sacked. If
I
the
wouldn't think, regardless of what he
League's
wins.
the only trophy.
I don't care what he wins, but I don't think he's winning the league this season. I think he's going to bottle it.
You think he's going to bottle it?
Yeah, I said whoever wins that League Cup goes on to win the league. And how he was speaking after that game, I've got no faith in him. No faith. I mean, why would anyone? There was nothing from him, like no disappointment, no upset. It was just the most like blandest robotic tone from Arteta. You've just lost the final in the most embarrassing way, and you've got no emotion in your voice. No, he's not winning it. And City have this game in hand, so we need to look at it as like they've won that already. Kind of look at it like that. So that's 6 points. We have to go to the Etihad. That's potential. We're going to lose that. That's another 3.
Yep.
Then we draw 1 or 2 games. It's done.
Yep.
It's literally that simple.
And we still got Newcastle and West Ham to play, I believe. With
still at least 18 to 21 points to play for.
Yep. And it's this injury to Eze is bad because now they're talking about Eze could be missing a month to 6 weeks, 4 weeks to 4 to 6 weeks is potentially what it's going to be. And it's just I'm at a loss for words for what this guy is doing, you know, and the over positive side of the fan base now, you basically see them running and ducking for cover everywhere that they can go. You know, the amazing thing is all you heard about going into the game from that side was we're winning the quad. And within 90 minutes, it instantly changed to, oh, that cup doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're going to do a treble. It was like, so what happened to the quad?
Exactly.
What happened to the 15-goal record we were going to smash?
Exactly. And when you look at it, there's actually an interview that he gave. I think it was after, it might have been a press conference after the game, not the same day, but I think maybe on Monday, where now he's actually talking about that he can't wait to get Odegaard back. And it's like, what the fuck is he going to do?
Oh, my word. You know what really annoys me about that, right? We could have had the likes of Pedri at our club, but we've wasted more than double on what Barca spent on him on Snot Bubble.
Yep.
You know how infuriating that is?
Yep.
Where the hell are the Arsenal scouts in Spain? Because a player like him, Wenger, immediately, he's in there, like Fabregas.
Yep.
He wouldn't hang around. He sees a talent like that, he's like, yep, bring him in.
Yep.
What the hell are our scouts doing? How do we look at the players we let move to other clubs? Kvaratskhelia.
That's the Vara thing.
It's Semenyo, Haaland. We funded the Haaland deal. We bought Jesus, and then we went and brought Zinchenko. We funded the Haaland deal.
Yep.
We funded the Cole Palmer deal. We bought 29.
Yep.
That's what we do. We help our rivals make stronger decisions and buy better players.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we buy their pensioners.
Mm-hmm.
It's a joke.
Yep. And even that, how the hell do you choose Madueke for 50 million pounds when City went and bought Cherki for 30 million euros? Like, what are we doing here? And then you look at Lookman at Atletico Madrid, again, 30 million euros. I mean, you could, even with the salaries and everything, you're only talking about 10 million more to get Lookman and Cherki to Arsenal, and you don't buy that fucking scrub Madueke.
We could have ended up with Cunha or Mbeumo.
Yep.
You know, there's so many other better players we could have signed. I would have rather a Matoma over bloody Madueke.
Agreed. Agreed. I agree. I'm on the fence still. I'll be honest with you. I think I'm still 50-50. 50% of me believes that we figure out a way because I don't know if I can trust City because they play similar teams and they've shown that they can be had. But the other 50% is in agreement with you where it's that League Cup may springboard them to get
Exactly.
to focus them to get in and go on to win. Because if they win their games out and we don't, which is a possibility with the injuries and the way we're looking on form right now, it could potentially happen. And the even funnier thing is, yeah, they talk about the treble. If this is the worst Manchester City team that I've seen in a while, that starting 11 that was on Sunday. It's one of the weaker Manchester City teams I've seen. You got these morons coming out here talking about we're going to beat Barcelona and all this. Barcelona, the dog walk us.
That can destroy us.
What they did to Newcastle would be the same thing they would do to us. I mean, you gave an old man, you gave old man Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva looked like he was 4 years ago when he was one of the best midfielders in the Prem, not the guy that's been hit or miss this season. And you think that if you let him do that, you think that Pedri's not going to rip you apart?
Exactly.
Like I don't see, and even hell, you could even make the argument the same thing may happen with Atletico.
PSG.
They're a different team now. If we get to the final, we're not winning.
No, if we face PSG, it'll be worse than last year.
Yeah.
So, and one thing I will say about City, right? Yeah, Haaland isn't firing now, but when strikers do break that drought, it's an avalanche that follows of goals. And who knows? This League Cup could be the one thing that gets him scoring. Once he gets one goal, we're in big trouble. He's a monster. That's what Haaland's like. Once he gets scoring, he doesn't stop.
Yep.
Look, we've got Timber, we've got Saliba, and we've got Gabriel out. All three out at one time.
And yep. And Eze being out too. As the thing is with Eze, man, a lot of people throw a little bit too much slack towards Eze, in my opinion, because it's the manager's fault. He's forcing him into the same role that Odegaard is at, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, whether they like the manager or not. Eze, when he's allowed to be further up the pitch, like we've seen in the game against Leverkusen, the second leg, against Spurs in both legs, when he's able to get further up the pitch, he can be a very big difference of a player for us. But once you start getting him stuck into that Odegaard bullshit role, nothing ever happens, and it's making him worse. And I just don't understand how this manager doesn't see he's holding this team back. I really don't.
It's pure arrogance. It's purely arrogance to himself. It's so blatant. He only cares about himself.
Mm-hmm.
And him and Pep, shame on them both, look like a pair of hobos on Sunday. Not one of them can wear a smart shirt and a tie. You should be wearing suits.
Yep.
I mean, you had Curtis Shaw looking like a John Wick character on his channel doing a watch-along. You know, Curtis Shaw can put on a suit for the final. Why can't a manager who's paid £15 million a year get a nice suit made up before the game?
Oh, that's good.
It's Wembley. Like, lead the players out and set the standard. Because Wenger, no matter whether it was boiling hot, freezing cold, he had a suit on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if it was hot, he'd take the jacket off, but he'd still be shirt and tie. The man was just class no matter what. Yep. He set the standard of what class is, and that's when we were classy Arsenal. We're not anymore because our manager just wears something out from what looks like it's in a charity shop.
Yep. No, agree. The suit, you definitely. It's hard because this is where the Italian comes out to me. I kind of don't mind when I see, if it's for regular league games, I kind of don't mind if the managers come out in the tracksuit as long as it's all the club stuff. But if it's a big game, if it's a derby or a rivalry game, I expect you in a suit.
Yeah, in the final, I mean, you're at Wembley.
Finals, no matter what, suits are mandatory.
Exactly.
Suits are mandatory when it comes to finals. Like doesn't matter if they want to call the League Cup the smallest cup or whatever the hell they come up with it nowadays. It's a final. You need to wear a suit. FA Cup, definitely wear a suit. If you're going to win the Premier League, the day that you're going for the Premier League title, doesn't matter what match day of the week it is, if you can put the Premier League title, whether it's you could win it in match week 32 or 35 or 36, if you're going to win, you should be in a suit.
Absolutely.
So that when you've put the final nail in the coffin in the other team and that you win, you are in a suit.
Yeah, you just look the part and you look smart.
Yep. No, listen, RSB, I know Klopp didn't do it, and I disagreed with that with him because, and the funny thing was, Klopp used to wear a suit all the time at Dortmund. So
at Liverpool.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I don't agree with it either. I think anytime somebody goes like what Vigilante says, if you're playing for cups, you need to wear a suit. If it's a derby, if it's like anytime Arsenal plays Manchester United or plays Tottenham, the manager should be in a suit. Mandatory. Absolutely mandatory. You can extend it
for the standard for your players.
Yeah.
That's what the manager should be doing. He sets the standard. He doesn't look as scruff. He's well dressed, and he goes, right, this is how you should be. You enter the final into the stadium in your suits. You get changed into your kit, and then you leave in your suit.
Yep.
Plus, when you're lifting the trophy, you want the pictures of you and the squad in your suit.
Yes.
Because you're still setting the standard.
Yep. Agreed. I mean, could you imagine if we made the Champions League final and he's wearing that same zip up shit? I'd lose my shit. I'd lose my shit if that's what happened.
I mean, I don't even know what him and Pep were wearing, but it looks like it's out of a charity shop. It looks like the most cheapest stuff.
Like they went thrift shopping for it.
Yeah, it good. And then I don't know if you noticed, but they were mimicking each other. At one point, Arteta was like directing planes and Pep's arms crossed, and then they would swap Arteta's arms crossed and Pep's directing planes.
Yep.
It's like someone just add the Benny Hill music over this because they look like a right pair of clowns.
Yep. No, I agree. It's like what you said. It's the standards dropping in general, with everything. And I mean listen, the manager for me, like I said, if the Premier League's the only title he walks away with, he is to go. For me, at this current point in time, for him to stay, you either have to win the Champions League. If you win the Champions League on its own, I hear it because we never won it. But if it's not the Champions League, then you have to win the FA Cup in the league. Otherwise, I don't care what it is, you have to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be a double minimum, but he still has to go. The amount of injuries to these players just cannot carry on.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The amount of injuries, and to like what you said earlier, it's a World Cup year, so it's even less ability for these players to recover.
Exactly. And they're going to be flying to different countries to play games. So jet lag will set in.
And traveling over the United States is not easy. From one coast to the other, you have to get used to the time changes and everything else. It's not like the entire U.S. is on the same standard of time and everything else. It isn't. So that's going to have knock-on effects as well. And if one of the teams goes far, like say France and Spain, for instance, are two of the favorites to go far. That's where we have a lot of Spanish players.
That's very true.
We have some French players. We have a French player as well, and Saliba is one of the most important players to France. So, and the even worrier thing is, what happens if they get a big injury in the tournament?
Exactly. I mean, luckily, like Marino, he's not basically a great player, but he's not going to make the World Cup, is he? There's no way. And he should not have been at Wembley. I don't know if you noticed it, but he was walking down the steps in a boot and a crutch. It's like, why is he there?
Yep. I didn't understand it. Why? First off, you're in a boot and a crutch on metal stairs, and it looked like the metal stairs are slick. I've never been to Wembley Stadium,
there's a lot to go up and down. There's a lot. You should not be doing that with a broken foot.
No. There's no mail him the fucking
manager.
Yeah.
What, just for a loser's medal? Which again, I'm going to come back to that, right? These players and that manager should be told by Josh, you are to wear those losers' medals out to every single game now for the rest of the league. You wear your little loser's medal because that's what you are. You're a loser. Until you're a winner, you do not take that off.
Yep.
Every training session, walk in with your loser's medal because that's what these players are. They are losers.
Yep. No, 100%. 100%. Big up Gunnar SC every time. Yeah. No, 100%. If So obviously there's been the word now as well that there's talks that Berta might be leaving too after 1 year. Personally, if Berta leaves after 1 year, I'm going to be very upset because then that means this idiot's going to be in here for the long haul, and who knows what that ends up meaning for the future of Arsenal. But
I think if he leaves, we're in big trouble.
agreed.
Because I mean, look at the last sporting director we had. He's an absolute clown, and he's already been sacked by Forest.
Yep.
So I'm worried. If I hope it's just rumours, because I really do. Because if we lose him, we're in big trouble.
If we lose him and Arteta stays, we're in massive trouble.
We lose the last football person at the club.
Yep.
We can talk some sense into the Kroenke. Because Arteta won't. He'll just keep lying to them.
Yep.
And that's what he is. He's a compulsive liar, this manager. He should never have been given the job in the first place. Let's be real about it.
No. I wanted when Ancelotti got sacked from Napoli, I wanted him to come to Arsenal because
I want him or Allegri or Simeone, one of those three where we move up a level to an actual decent coach.
So let's say, bless you, let's say we don't win a trophy and we do go trophyless. If you're Berta, who's your give me 5 managers on a short list that you would be interviewing to take over the Arsenal job if it was up to you?
Well, immediately Hansi Flick is at the top of that list. Enrique's on there, obviously. Maybe Simeone. Matthias Giselle, he's another one. And Inzaghi. But Hansi Flick is the one I'd be looking to get in.
No Ancelotti.
Oh, he's with the Brazil team, isn't he? So he's
he's
available. Bring him in. But I would love Hansi Flick. I think you give him these players we got now and the academy players, Lewis Skelly, Ranieri, Max Stallman. He'll be rubbing his hands together like, oh, I can do something special with this.
Yep. Agreed. And when you look at it, real quick, Javi, no. Arsenal cannot hire any more project managers. You either have to have a history of winning or you can't be hired here right now. If we need to hire a manager that's going to take us on a 3 to 5 year run of consistently winning mandatory at least 1 trophy, possibly 2. Like I want to see in a 3 to 5 year run 7 or 8 trophies. That's the type of standard that I want from Arsenal immediately. When you look at the amount of money that we've spent on a team and we still haven't won anything, that's what I want. I don't think De Zerbi is ready to do that. I think De Zerbi needs to go back to Italy, in my opinion. He needs to take over one of the teams in Italy, whether it be a Napoli, a Milan, a Inter, or Juve, and get them to win. And if he does that, I could maybe hear it later on. But right now, no, he hasn't done enough for me not to be the manager of Arsenal.
And the main thing is, Hansi Flick would get Gyökeres scoring again. He'd actually get him in a system that suits his game. Because he has a striker like that in Lewandowski.
Yep.
You know, Lewandowski's not like Arteta's expecting Gyökeres to be. It's like a CR7, dribble past 2-3 players on the wing and smash it in. That's not Gyökeres. He needs to stop having to pick up the ball by the corner flag. His position is in the middle of the box. You give him a chance where he can get it out of his feet and shoot, or just shoot straight away, it's going in the net.
Yep.
I'm convinced if he had that chance that 29 missed on Sunday, Gyökeres put the net.
Yep.
The net is bulging, and we're 1-0 up very early on, and we go on to smash them.
Vigilante, I've said for time, if you remember, do you remember the Brighton game where Saka put the ball in the middle, and it was after they subbed Gyökeres off the pitch, and it fell to Martinelli, and Martinelli skied it over the net when it went right over the middle. I've said this entire season that if you gave Gyökeres 3 to 4 passes like that a game, one of them goes in every game.
It's almost like they are deliberately not passing to him at times.
Facts.
Like, I've been sat on countless watch-alongs, and I'm like, he's free. Play the ball, Odegaard, and he just runs and runs and runs, goes to the left wing. It's like, He's running left and right of this one defender, and the defender doesn't know what way to go.
Yep.
That's what he
Yep.
wants. Give him that. Play the damn part. It's so obvious.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. A defender could do that. A goalkeeper could do that from that position. Just sees that clear and obvious, straightforward pass.
Mm-hmm.
No one in his way. Just play the pass.
Yeah. No, completely agreed. And
When you're 29, those passes are going through. It's like, I swear Arteta's telling those players, make sure he gets the ball. But Gyökeres, that's not coming. I don't even not believe that's happening.
Yeah, and the sad thing to that point is, with what you're saying with the passes getting there, some of the passes that should have gone to Gyökeres have even gone to Jesus. And it's like, bro, the funny thing is, when you look at it from that perspective, and then the top gooners go and say, oh, we can't wait for Havertz or Jesus to come back. They've never done it.
Exactly.
If Havertz would have done it, we would have lifted a trophy right now. We would have never bought Gyökeres if Havertz had done it.
He's cost us countless times. He cost us on Sunday again.
Not only brother, the FA Cup game against United last year. How many sitters did he win? Yeah, 22.
The 8-point bottle job. It cost us that year. It cost us the following year. League Cup semi-final against Newcastle. The ball's flying over the bar off his shoulder. I mean, I was at that game.
Oh,
and that was painful. In -2 conditions, watching that. No. And I saw the complete lack of tactics from Arteta early on. The whole plan was Martinelli switched to play to Trossard, but then you got Dan Burn, and I forgot the other defender they had. The guys are like 6'5" plus. Trossard's 5 foot fuck all. There's one obvious winner in that situation when the ball's in the air. It's most certainly not Trossard.
Yep, agreed. It's insane, man. It's absolutely insane, and it's part of me. There is 97.5. There's a 2% of me that I don't know if I want us to win any trophies, and yeah, this may come off super negative, but that 2% is because it's a situation where I want what's best for the team, and I don't know if winning a Premier League with this manager is best for the team, like you say. Because the long-term
journey, I've been thinking the same over the past week. I can't take much more of this. I mean, I had a full-on breakdown the other night. I lost my shit after that final. I can't take another season of Arteta at this club. He is factually our worst manager. He was the only one to be 20th when Spurs were first. No other manager's done that. Mm-hmm. That alone makes him the worst manager in our history. You know how embarrassing that is, that we're the one generation that have been alive when that happened.
Yep. And not only that, it's just, like you said, the injuries. What's to say? What's to say that I firmly believe that 10 players have to leave this club.
Oh, I'd only keep maybe 6 players. I'd bin the rest.
Yeah.
I would be that ruthless. I'd keep Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, Rice, Eze, and Gyökeres. The rest can go.
Yep. I agree. It'll be a longer wait than 22 years for the next title if Arteta pulls this one out.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. But I'm with you. I'm starting to feel that way. Like maybe, and I can't bring myself to say it, but maybe it would be better if he doesn't win the league this season for our club going forward. Mm-hmm. The board can finally be rid of, and we can move on. Because the nerve of him over the summer when he sat on with as Shane calls him, the swirl, and his bunch of idiots. Our trophies are coming. Be patient. You can't tell us that after nearly 6 years. Be patient for trophies.
Mm-hmm. You can't do that either way, man. We're Arsenal.
No,
I say this all the time because, again, everybody knows that I'm a Napoli fan. We're not a big team. I saw what big teams do, what real big teams do, not pretending big teams. And it's to the point now to where as the longer he's in charge, you actually think that Arsenal's now becoming a pretending big team. And we're just really waiting here by the wayside for either Chelsea to get their head out of their ass and start operating like they used to, or continue to see Man City eventually pass us by for the third biggest team in England.
Oh, that's one trophy behind. Yeah, they're one. And when they equal us, in my opinion, they are the biggest. They've won the Champions League.
Yeah.
So that would put them above us. And that really got to me when that actually sunk in the other day, that they win that league, they equal our trophy haul, and then they go above us because they won the champs. I think you have to class City as the bigger club then, because our European record in history is crap.
Mm-hmm.
But they've done a treble as well. We've never done a treble.
And not only that, they do what big teams do.
Exactly.
Everybody calls Manchester City fans plastic or a plastic club and all this other stuff. Brother, they're the team. They're the team that when they fuck up, they hold themselves accountable, go out and win. I mean, the fact that Bernardo Silva sits there at the end of that game and says, this is what our fan base demands of us, is to win trophies. You don't hear that coming from Arsenal players.
No.
You don't hear that coming from the greats that they give the microphones to because they have to censor certain people. Because if Tony Adams was a pundit, he would be slagging us off every fucking game.
Yeah, and he should be.
Exactly. And it's just the standard overall is the problem for me. I use this all the time. Roberto Mancini won Inter 7 trophies in 4 years, and they still sacked him. We would die to have a 4-year period of winning that many trophies at this point.
It would be the best we've ever seen.
Exactly. But the fact that that's the standard at Inter Milan, Inter's arguably the third biggest team in Italy when you look at it from different ways. So if that's who we're supposed to be mirrored to, if we're comparing Italy to England, we should be having those same fucking standards.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the
hybrid.
How we're moving.
This whole nonsense we're moving to the Emirates to compete with Real Madrid, and we were doing that at Highbury. Back then we had proper mentality. Highbury was a fortress.
Yep.
Teams feared going to Highbury. The amount of teams that were like, we're going to lose this weekend. Let's just try and keep the score down. Yep. We were walking into the ground like, what are you thinking, 4-5-0?
Mm-hmm.
We knew the game was won. I've never felt like that at the Emirates. And the atmosphere is dead. But then you get the players doing the arm weights. Well, we're told to keep quiet. Now you want us to suddenly just pipe up.
Mm-hmm. Hey, World Class players of the previous generation, would they pick City? The majority of them will pick City because they see how they move.
And the thing is, a lot of the idiots online are actually fans of ex-clubs that we're having to deal with. That somehow got more following and people listening to them, having them on Sky Sports, and these people are idiots. How is this possible? I mean, one can you name 5 shirt sponsors? I mean, come on, it's literally 2 characters, one of them, O2.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is that to remember? And that's the year he changed to our club. That was a shirt sponsor. That just shows how bad it is.
You know what the funny thing is, when you say stuff like that, I laugh at it because I get slagged off a lot on different channels because I'm American, because they say that we're not supposed to know our stuff about the sport and everything else, or what standards mean for the sport. But it's like I find it hilarious that I get told that, and then you say the same thing about somebody else who's not even a real Arsenal fan. It's like,
exactly, and he's British.
So.
I mean, you know how bad it is, right? I don't know if you clocked it. One of the Arsenal fans in the ground couldn't even spell Gyökeres correctly. It was GEO-res. Meanwhile, in front of this woman, there was someone with it spelled correctly. I'm just like, oh my word. That's as bad as the Champions League winners of a 25 last year. In fact, I think that's worse. How can you not spell the name right? Google it. Gyökeres. Like, oh my days. This fan base is getting worse, and we do need like the so-called social media team actually cleaning it up and getting rid of the idiots lying everywhere.
Do you think, and this will be my last question, we'll wrap up, and I appreciate your time, my guy. I appreciate it. 2 hours have flown by like nothing. Do you think that majority of these guys are doing it because they're using it as a lift, because they know the social media presence of the Arsenal fan base is one of the biggest in the world, if not the biggest. Sometimes it feels like it's the biggest. Do you think they're using it because of how big the fan base is online, and they're using it just to try to create like a loophole for them to get a job in the media sector?
Oh, absolutely.
Or do you think it's more so that, or do you think it's more of it's not only that, but they're just trying to use it in general just to be a big social media figure? Because what I hear from a lot of these random people, because I stay off of Arsenal social media as much as I can when I'm not online, because some of the shit that I hear is like the fact, like I don't know who the one guy was that one, I think it's called The Club. I saw one random thing for them where one guy said if Arteta wins, he's top five or top three greatest Premier League managers of all time. And I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
These people, like, oh, how could you do something that stupid?
And the saddest thing is everybody has one of these nowadays, right?
Yeah.
You can simply look up shit. It's not like how it was 40 years ago where you really couldn't use the internet to look up shit to see what people were really doing. You can use the eye test, and if you want to bring stats into it, okay, you can use stats, but I disagree with stats because stats don't talk about other shit. So, the stats are very selective in the way that they point for somebody. And it's like when I hear stuff like that, when I hear people saying that if Arsenal wins the Premier League, Saka's now better than the likes of Del Piero or Totti. It's like, bro, what the fuck are we talking about here?
Oh, he's nowhere near the talent of those people. Nowhere near. He couldn't even dream to hold their boots.
Yeah, and
I definitely think it's the second what you said, and they know this fan base is the loudest online.
Mm-hmm. Definitely the loudest. That's the best. That's the best word to use. Is the loudest.
From recent stuff I've seen, I think Chelsea's probably the angriest, but ours is the loudest.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, it definitely plays a part in what they're doing, and they're after just one thing: money and some sort of fame. And it's really sad to sell out because you can't be considered authentic in any way.
Yeah.
These people do a stream and they have things prepared. They can't just do it off freestyle, off the cuff. Like we've sat here and the only thing I prepared was a team. The rest of it from our own brains, nothing written down. And that's how you know these people are lying. They've got things written down. They need a script.
Yep, exactly. I just got a quick couple questions here that I starred. Big up Rasta Stocks for this question. Who's your favorite footballer of all time? And then what do you think of Khan?
Well, Khan, he was insane. He was a madman. But I've got to give it to Ronaldinho. The guy, he just made you smile when you're watching him play. That's how good he was at football.
Favorite player in my time, he's probably mine too, as far as who I watched and got to see the entirety of their career from the prime till the end of it. It's probably Ronaldinho for me too. He outside of just being world class, you don't see players playing with a smile on their face and laughing when they do shit to you. You just don't see that no more, which is why it's like when you go and watch a highlight reel of him, it's like a breath of fresh air when you watch him. He's absolutely insane. Jacques has put this in, and he goes, who are the current showmen of football? Cherokee's one of them. I agree with Cherokee. Elise's Lamine Yamal definitely. Desiree Doué I do like Vara. I'm not going to lie. I do like Vara. I had the privilege of seeing him at Napoli live, and he was insane. But there's not that many. There's not that many that get me out of my seat like that.
No. Probably, Lamine and Cherokee, I'd agree with you on that. Elise has his moments. He does have his moments, but
yeah,
I'll put the other two above him.
And then the last one with this from Javi. Quaresma was top notch, but do you consider him wasted potential? 100%.
Yeah.
He's Quaresma had the ability to do exactly what Ronaldinho was doing. He just didn't care. He was good for maybe 3 years. The 3 years, what he did at Porto before he bounced around to Turkey and it didn't work out at Inter, he was insane. He was one of my favorite players to watch because he'd make you look ridiculous too. And anybody wants to have an argument about who's the best at doing Trivellas, he's certainly he's certainly in that conversation with what he used to do at Porto and everything else. What did you think of Quaresma, my guy?
I didn't see much of him, but yeah, he was special. But I think what you said, it comes down to the coaching. Because if he had a right coach that pulled his head out his ass, he may have actually used his potential to its full like what he could have done with it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
With the right coaching, someone who just slaps him and go, look, stop it. You have all the talent in the world. Now go out and achieve something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It just comes down to mentality, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's part of the sad thing when you look at it nowadays with players. Part of it is you have to ask, do the players have the mentality? But the other question is, do the managers allow them to have mentality? Because it just looks like the managers are the main. It's kind of like now they're trying to center the game around the managers now more so than the players, which doesn't make any sense. And it's part of the reason why I love Ancelotti so much, because he's that old school where he's just there for man management. He says it all the time in his different interviews. I can't tell these guys how to be football players because them on their own have gotten where they're at. I'm here to just try to get the best out of them and bring their mentality up as far as giving them belief in their ability and everything else, and they have to go out and play. And I just think that's really one of the reasons why the game is going to shit, because when you look at a manager like Arteta, you can see all the players look over to him for approval for anything.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's playing FIFA from the touchline with these players.
Yep.
And I think Northside phrased it best. He's a failed player trying to live out his failed career through these current players. And I think Northside's 100% spot on with that.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Listen, my guy, 2 hours flew by like nothing, man.
Appreciate you having me on. It's been a great show.
Oh, I appreciate having you on, my guy. I know we've been talking about it for a little bit. I'm glad we were able to do this. Your team is up there with a lot of these other guys. Once I have a couple more to do, and then I'm going to put a poll out for people to vote on whose 11 they think is the best. Yours is up there, I will be honest. And
I appreciate it.
Yours is up there. And I thought it was cool that both of us ran without even speaking to one another about it. Both went with a 3-man back line and just an all-out attack. You got anything going on in your channel, my guy? You want to shout your channel before we get out of here?
This is my normal thing. I'm with the streams I do with Rasta Stocks, African King and Prophet. That'll be on tomorrow on Rasta Stocks channel. I was going to say to you, maybe reach out to Rasta Stocks. He'd be a good one to get on for a collaboration. A Man United fan. Yeah,
I'll definitely reach out to him.
But yeah, that's basically about it. And then I know me and the other guys are doing a show next week on Twitch where we're going to do some from historical games. So yeah, more will come about that on my posts on my channel.
Cool, man. Sounds good, brother. I just wanted to say, if you don't hear it all the time, you're one of the best mods in the game.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're always on top of shit, and keep doing what you're doing, my guy. Always appreciate it when you shout me out in the channels. Always appreciate your time when you stop in for either the shows or like right now. And just keep doing what you're doing, my guy. I always appreciate your time, man.
I appreciate having me on. And congratulations on the 300 subs.
I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it. Everybody, appreciate everybody who stopped by for the conversation. KLS, Quaja, Javi, Rasta Stocks, everybody in the chat. Appreciate it. We will redirect to Lee. I am going to go live here in about 8 minutes or so. I'm going to do it'll be an international call-in show. We'll talk about all the internationals. If you're free, my guy, you're more than welcome to hop back on if you want. So big up Vigilante every time. If you guys haven't liked or subscribed to him, please go like and subscribe to his channel. He is the man. We'll run over to Lee, hit him with the Gianni raid, and appreciate everybody who stopped by for the conversation. And I'll see you guys in a few minutes.